Hello everybody, welcome back to the Advanced Vape channel. Today we're going to be doing a wicking tutorial for the Goblin Mini. So obviously I have it disassembled now. This is my build deck, and this build is sort of catered towards, just like my other wicking tutorials, it's catered towards a lot of flavor and a dense kind of mist type flavor, and it works well with max VG juices also. So this device, the Goblin Mini, it's a lot harder to wick than something like the Griffin. Griffin, super easy to build on and wick and everything. This one is harder. I normally find that I have to do it a couple times to get what I want out of it. So if you try it and you're not getting the flavor or performance that you want, don't give up on it. Just experiment a little bit and mess around with it, see if you can get it to perform how you want it to. Because when you have it right, the flavor is great. It has really good flavor, and it hits really well. But it's finicky. It's really finicky. So let's go on and get started. Like my other videos, I'm using rayon, and most people use cotton, but it works very similar. So ultimately, you want to go with a really tiny amount of wick in the final product. It's definitely less is more on this tank. So I have 2.5 millimeter stainless steel twisted ribbon in there, and I love this build. It's been in there for a while, so I'm not going to change the build today. Just going to re-wick it. I'm just pulling it through until I get a good amount of resistance back and forth. So it's not enough resistance that it moves the coils, but it's enough that I know that there's an adequate amount of wick in there. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. You know, I've rebuilt and wicked this device a lot of times, and I still occasionally the wicking just doesn't work, and I have to immediately take it apart and try it again. So it's not the easiest tank to wick. It's not the easiest tank to do anything on. It's hard to fill, all that, but it's worth it if you're patient with it and you get the build that you like in there. It does perform really well once you get it going. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place my scissors just to kind of show you. Make sure I have focus on. I'm going to put my scissors right along this build deck right here. I'm putting them right there. And with my other hand, I'm pulling down on the cotton just a little bit. Putting them right there, and I'm turning it at about 45 degrees. Get these separated. So I'm pulling down on it and just kind of turning it about 45 degrees and cut. Do the same all the way around. Now I'm just pruning just a little bit to get these big clumps out. Okay, so what we do now is put the chimney on, see what it looks like. I'm not screwing it on all the way. I'm just kind of putting it down there, screwing it in part of the way, just to see what the cotton will look like when it's in place. So I know already that I have too much cotton, and I'm going to need to trim a little bit more. But I'm going to screw it on just to see what it looks like. Take it back off. Okay, so there's really only a couple that we need to trim down. This one, you don't want it to be down in the channels so much. You want it to block the channel but not fill it up. See how it's all the way down in there? So this one is too much. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing over again, but this time I'm going to wet the wicks. They don't have to be totally saturated, just enough juice on them so that they act like they would when they're totally saturated. Apologize for moving the camera. I'm just kind of getting them lined up so that when I put the chimney on, they won't go all over the place. All right, we're gonna try it again. I know there's an alternative method to wick this that involves leaving the legs really long and putting the chimney on and then kind of stuffing them down in there. And it does work. It just doesn't work as well for me, in my experience. Okay, I've got them in place. I'm going to screw it back off and see what it looks like. That looks pretty good. That's about what it should look like. So now I'm putting this on for the final time. And I'm just being real careful not to be rough with it. I don't want to move those wicks around too much. So they look like they're in position there. Now comes my least favorite part about the Goblin Mini. Assembly, filling it, it's just a pain in the butt. If this tank didn't have the performance that it does, I would never use it because everything else about it is kind of a pain. But it does have really good performance, which is why I still use it. To tighten it down, I normally have to kind of hold it with a t-shirt or a paper towel or something like that and tighten it, which is what I was just doing off the camera. So it's nice and tight now. It's kind of hard to tighten it down. There's no knurling on the metal, so you kind of have to do something to grip it to get it tight. So now we're just gonna fill it up and test out the seals. Make sure that the wick is making a good seal, keeping it from leaking, making sure it's not wicking too fast or too slow. I was really excited when I heard that they're going to be coming out with a version 2.0 of this that doesn't use that stupid screw to fill. That's just a pain in the butt to me. It's an outdated design, and I'm glad that they're getting rid of it. They're going for top fill in the version 2, and that's supposed to come out in March, I believe. So I've got it filled up with chocolate strawberry. That's a max VG juice. Sorry about that. Okay. And you want to make sure that it's not, air is not coming out too much, because then it would be leaking. I would expect a couple bubbles because I didn't saturate it all the way, but if it just keeps coming, then you got a problem. So I'm going to take a breath through it and see how it works. Breathing through it without firing it, that should pull a bubble through there. Okay, I can feel that it's saturated, so I'm going to give it a try. It's a little bit juicy because I just pulled extra bubbles through there by dry pulling on it. It's bubbling like it should. It's giving good flavor, good performance. It's keeping up with me chain hitting it. And it's not flooding by me chain hitting it like that, which is something that the Goblin can do if you put just a little bit too little wick in there. So it's always a really fine balance with this tank. But just keep trying it, keep messing with it. Try how I did it in the video and see if it works for you. If you have any questions, just leave a comment, send us an email. Or if there's anything else that you'd like to see me put a wick on, or how I like to have it set up, just let us know. Thanks.